And here we have the notes for Section P3, linear equations and inequalities. So just a reminder what an equation is. So it's equality between two expressions. So remember, an equation must have an equal sign. Expressions do not have equal signs. So just a couple of properties from algebra and geometry. So reflexive, symmetric, transitive addition, and the multiplication properties, which you can use to solve equations. So solving equations down here. Solution of an equation in x is a value for x for which the equation is true. To solve an equation in x means to find all values of x for which the equation is true. All right, so example 1 here asks you to prove that x equals -2 is a solution of the equation x squared minus 6, or x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. So to check if a value is a solution, that means you need to replace the x's with the value and see if you get a true statement. So that's going to be 4 plus 2 minus 6 equals 0. So 0 equals 0. So that is a true statement. So x equals -2 is a solution. Okay. So linear equation is one that can be rearranged to the form ax plus b equals 0, where a and b are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. So down here, just a reminder of how to solve equations essentially. So what you do to one side, you must do to the other. All right, so example 2, solve this equation. So the first thing we're going to need to do is distribute. So that gives me 4x minus 6 plus 3x plus 3 equals 5x plus 2. So when you distribute, remember number times everything inside. So 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times -3 is -6, so on and so forth. So on the left, we need to do like terms. So 4x and 3x makes 7x, -6 and 3 makes -3. And then the right-hand side is still 5x plus 2. So I'm bringing my x's to the left, so I need to subtract this 5x across. Gives me 2x minus 3 is equal to 2. Add that value across. 2x is equal to 5, and divide everything by 2. So 5 halves, or 2.5 would be your solution. If you go back through and check, the math should come out hopefully correct. I didn't make any mistakes anywhere. Alrighty, which brings us to example 3. Solve this equation. Now this equation has some fractions involved, so the easiest way to deal with this is just to eliminate the fractions. You do that by multiplying everything by the common denominator. So for these numbers, the common denominator is 8. Because what number can be? The common denominator is a number that can be divided by the denominators. So what number can be divided by 8 and it can be divided by 4. So be careful because it's not the numbers that go into 8 or into 4. It's what can be divided by 8 and by 4. So 8's the smallest. You could have used 16. 16 can be divided by 8 or 4. 24 would work as well. So when I multiply by 8, when you multiply a fraction by a number, the number just multiplies into the numerator. So this becomes 40y minus 16, still over 8, is equal to 2 times 8, which is 16, plus 8y over 4. So now we're going to reduce all of our fractions because hopefully they should all drop out now. 40 divided by 8 is 5. 16 divided by 8 is 2. Because remember, a fraction bar is a division problem, so that's 2y. So bring my y's to the left, so that's 3y minus 2 is equal to 16. Add the 2 across, 3y is 18, so y is 6. So you could also have inequalities. So you can use either the less than sign, less than equal to, greater than, or greater than or equal to. All the properties, things that were true about equations are also true about inequalities. And some examples. So solve the inequality. So first step on the left is to distribute. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times -1 is -3, plus 2 less than equal 5x plus 6. So like terms on the left gives me 3x minus 1 less than equal 5x plus 6. Bring the 5x across, so -2x. Add the 1 across. Now I need to divide, so that's going to be -7 halves. Now if you notice I skipped putting that, that's because you need to remember that if you divide or multiply by a negative number, the inequality reverses direction. So it becomes a greater than or equal to sign. All right, so for example 5, solve the inequality. So since these are all fractions, I'm going to take the fraction out. So the common denominator between 3 and 2 and 4 is going to be 12, is the smallest number that can be divided by 3, can be divided by 2, and can be divided by 4. So I'm going to have 12x over 3 plus 12 over 2 greater than 12x over 4 plus 12 over 3. Because remember, the number only multiplies the numerator. So this is 4x plus 6 is greater than 3x plus 4. Bring the x over, gives me just x. And then send the 6 across. Now it says, and graph the solution set. So that just means on a number line, so open circle, because no equal to bar, and greater than means it's going to go that way. All right, example 6. Now this is referred to as a compound inequality, but for the most part, they solve the same way. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my fraction. So since there is only one denominator, the common denominator is that denominator. So everybody gets multiplied by 3. So that's negative 9 less than 6x plus 15 all over 3 less than equal 15. So reduce in the middle, so that's going to be 2x plus 5. Now, when you solve a compound, if I need to move this negative 5, I need to subtract it out. But if I subtract it from the center, I have to subtract it from both sides. So that's negative 14 less than 2x less than equal 10. If I divide the center by 2, I need to divide the right and the left by 2. Negative 7 is less than x is less than equal to 5. Then graph the solution set. So negative 7 with an open circle, no equal bar. Positive 5 with the closed dot, and connect them because x is in between the two values. And that is the end of the section.